My name is Ian Zierden, and today I'm here with Natalie Zierden, who has agreed to talk about her experiences on 9/11. So I guess to start off, where were you when 9/11 happened, and what were you doing at the time?
I was at work here in Tallahassee, Florida. We were an engineering firm, and one of the services that we provide was emergency management.
Okay.
And so when the first plane hit, like everybody thought it was an accident. Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen? Like the plane got off course. And so part of our emergency management, we had a room full of televisions. And so we all just kind of turned and were watching the television, trying to figure out, what happened, the accident that occurred. It was kind of a little unbelievable.
Yeah, I bet.
And then the second plane hit.
Mm.
And then it was just this feeling of dread, like what exactly is happening? I'm old enough where I grew up in the Cold War. So, we were always afraid of war and type of things with Russia.
Yeah.
And so we had finally moved past that, and we were living this blissful life here in America and really didn't think anything was ever going to happen on American soil. And when that happened, it just kind of like really struck home, like, are we really safe? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm sure. So after your initial viewing of the attack with all your coworkers, what did you and all your coworkers at the time think was happening during the moment when you saw the planes fly into the tower?
Nobody really was sure what exactly was happening. Like it totally was out of any reality that we could grasp. Like, how is this happening here in America, and what does it mean? And so then, as you're watching the news, they're kind of identifying other areas that could be, potentially a target to some kind of terrorism.
Oh, yeah.
And it being in Tallahassee, we're the capital of Florida. And so lots of things go through your mind. And, you are old enough where you were actually living. You were 9 months old when this happened. And, I don't know how, how rational it is, but like as a mother of a newborn baby or an infant, the first thought is you're like, oh, I have to go get my kid. I don't know what that would solve. But, that's kind of where your head was going because nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, I guess just provide a little more peace of mind, right? To be with your child.
Yeah.
So after the attacks happened and having the whole day to think about it, what did you think about that night after everything had happened? And how did your mind react to the news?
Well, I was born and raised right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so things that were going through my mind is, who do I know that would be working in the building? Do we know people that are, impacted directly from what was going on? And I don't think the immediate reaction was, oh, this is a terrorist attack and we have to prepare for whatever. It was, oh my gosh, all these people and these families, and you're hearing stories of the kids in the daycare, and
So more just confusion and uncertainty, kind of.
Yeah, and and empathy. You're feeling, oh my gosh, here I have my baby. There's other kids that were in a daycare at the bottom floor of the, World Trade Center, and what are those parents going through? And I don't know, just kind of spiral into these crazy thoughts and ideas, because I feel maybe it was a little while later before they really identified who was responsible.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. So the next day after the attacks happened, how was the world different for you?
I guess, like I had said, after the Cold War, we all kind of had this false sense of security that nothing could happen here in the U.S. We were divided by an ocean from everybody, and what's really going to happen if it's not going to be nuclear war?
Yeah.
Nobody ever considered anything like this. So yeah, I think it was a little more leery of the things going on in the world and maybe paying a little more attention to things, because we were just living in this happy little blissful bubble.
So do you think it's kind of like a wake-up call?
Oh, for sure.
Like that we're not untouchable as we thought we were at the time?
For sure.
Absolutely.
And especially, being raised around the area, when you see the videos of, the World Trade Centers and then it's gone.
Yeah.
I grew up, they were always there. You know, it's like just unbelievable. And if you had ever been there, you know, we had been at the top of the World Trade Center, you know, as high school kids on a field trip.
Yeah.
You know, and just the thought that, you know, in a blink of an instant, it's all gone. So it's crazy.
Absolutely. And how did your understanding of the word terrorism kind of change after the event happened?
Well, okay, so my generation has grown up with some crazy things because we also had an Iran war, you know, when I was younger, maybe, I don't know, less than a teenager, maybe 10, 11. And so, like, that's what we always thought, you know, terrorism was, you know, is some, you know, crazy leader of a country who's going to come and attack you, you know, more war related. Like, it didn't really occur to me that it could be a small regime of people, you know, more
with their own interests.
Right, with their own interests, you know, more, and that I feel, you know, was more geared for religion reasons more than political reasons, or a combination of the blurred lines, where, you know, I just always thought it was going to be something like a country like Iran or Iraq. And
so like black and white kind of political lines as well.
Yeah.
And it's not, in reality, that's not what it was
That's not
at all.
it.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah.
So now, knowing what you know, and after experiencing what you have, what do you think terrorism is now, these days?
I feel it's definitely more of a reality than it was for when I was a child. You know, even with the Cold War, like, all we thought about were nuclear weapons in Russia.
Yeah.
Where now there are so many groups, small groups around the world that could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I kind of feel the impression of the United States globally, you know, is not what we always thought it was. You know, we always thought everybody loves us. We're from the United States. Everything is great. And, you know, not everybody agrees with us politically or religiously. So, you know, just now, like, you just see a lot more of, you know, small groups that can have such an impact. And, you know, to me, that's what maybe more definition of what terrorism is. It's something that you maybe don't expect so, you know, easily, where, you know, like a war, you would expect something, where a terrorist cell, you know, you don't know what they're going to do. You can't expect what their next move is. So, you know, that's the part that's frightening. And I think that, to me, that's like what the terrorism side of it is, that they're just so random, or so, you know, in their minds they're calculated, but how can I predict what's, you know, somebody like that is going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. You provide a lot of insight to me.
Good, I'm glad to help.